All right, so now that we know we've got the tub hooked up, we've got the tub filled with water, and we understand some of the controls on the top and what they do, we get into the basic maintenance of it. Part of the big advantage of a Wind River spa is that there's very little you have to do. There's not a lot of maintenance. What we get you set up with is a very simple kit. This is our basic startup kit. You're going to get a bottle of test strips, and this is going to be used to test the water. Really what you're testing for is pH and alkalinity. That's really all that we care about in this case. It's kind of like the oil in the car. We want it to be running good. The dichlor, this is what we use as our secondary oxidizer. The ozone, of course, which you learned about plenty, is our main oxidizer, and the secondary oxidizer being the dichlor. You're going to use a half a teaspoon per person whenever you get out of the spa, and I'll go over that in a little bit more detail. You've got a pH decreaser, and whenever I say we check for the pH and alkalinity, this is a pretty simple test where it's basically going to be high or low or right in the okay range, and you're going to use these different adjusters. You've got a pH up and down and an alkalinity up to help adjust those in the okay range, and then you have the filter cleaner here that's going to be for the filter maintenance. So that's the general overview of everything that we have here. Getting a little bit more specific, the test strips again, like I mentioned, you're going to test for pH and alkalinity. We just use the AquaCheck yellow test strips. On the back of the bottle here, there's 4 different tests that you can test for. 2 of them we do not test for necessarily. This is an aftermarket strip that you could use for swimming pools, fish tanks, anything. Again, we really just care about the pH and alkalinity. So the pH is this top one here, and there's an okay range on there between 7.2 and 7.6. And then the alkalinity is this greenish test, the third one down, and that one has the okay range between 80 and 120 parts per million with the alkalinity. With these tests, the pH and alkalinity, it's a very simple litmus paper. Basically, you're going to take the strip. There is a bunch of strips in here, and you're going to hold these from the bottom up, and it's just going to match the color basically. So you're going to go from the top to the bottom. In this case, you just dip the strip in the water for a couple seconds, pull the strip out, and you're just going to match the colors. And so in this case, we're perhaps a little bit high on the pH, but we're right in the upper part of the okay range. And then the alkalinity, we're going to be towards the lower part of the alkalinity range, between that 40 and 80 mark right there. So in this particular case, if it was at your house and you were testing it, you would use 1 capful of the alkalinity up to raise it up 1 color change, and 1 capful of the pH down to bring it down 1 color change. A good rule of thumb for all the alkalinity and pH is 1 level capful is equal to about 1 color change. One important note with these, so this is the pH down, which we would want to come down a full cap or a full color. So I'm going to get 1 level cap of the pH decreaser, and I'm just going to put that into the spa. And we also want to raise the alkalinity in this case, so I'm going to use the alkalinity increaser, and we wanted to go up 1 color change on that as well. So I'm going to take this one with 1 good solid level cap and put in that one. Keep in mind that it takes 4 to 6 hours for the pH and alkalinity adjusters to do what they want to do. So if you were to test this again right away, it's going to read exactly the same thing. Nothing's going to change. So what we ask you to do is just assume that it's doing what it's supposed to. Make your adjustment, walk away for 4 to 6 hours, come back, and it should be fine. You don't even need to test it again. Once you add any chemicals, there's a feature on the controls themselves that you're going to use to stir everything. It's a stir button on here. And what that does is illustrated right there. I shut it off, but it's a 3-minute timed cycle. Anytime you hit that stir button, it's going to come on for 3 minutes and shut off. So it'll stir everything, get the chemical, whatever you added, through the entire body of water, and then it just shuts off. So you can hit it, walk away, 3 minutes later it'll shut down. The pH and alkalinity is a weekly test, so once a week you're going to test it, make the adjustments if you need to. Once it's in the okay range, generally you don't have to adjust it again. It does a really good job of staying stable because we don't use a lot of other chemicals in there. So once you're in that range, you're probably okay. If you're going to keep anything from this video, the most important thing that you need to know is the dichlor. We use a chlorinated concentrate for our secondary sanitizer to help kill bacteria, and really its only purpose is to clean up behind you. One of the most important things with a hot tub is as you're in that water, you have things coming off your body, the sweat, the bacteria, and so whenever you exit the tub, that's whenever the water is the dirtiest. So what we ask you to do is use a half a teaspoon per person whenever you get out of the tub of the dichlor, and you would do the same thing, throw it in and hit the stir button. in lieu of having a half a teaspoon measuring cup for individual people, what I typically do, or what we recommend, is just enough to cover the bottom of the cap. So it's not a lot, it's very, very little. That's even maybe a little too much. But you want just enough to cover the bottom of the cap. That's close to a teaspoon, and you would throw that in if it was a couple people. But on average, a half a teaspoon per person whenever you get out of the spa. So same concept, you would get out, you would put in a half a teaspoon or a teaspoon, just throw it into the water, and then you would hit the stir button and it would come on for 3 minutes, cycle through the entire body of water, get the chlorine through the jet lines. One of the best things about the chlorine and why we like it is that it burns off clean within 4 to 6 hours. It's only in the water for a short period of time, and then it's gone out of the water. So by the next morning with a cup of coffee, you go out there, it's gonna be clean, fresh water. There's no chlorine, no bromine, there's no chemicals. You don't have to rinse off whenever you get out, it's just very clean. That's going to be on a usage basis. If you use the tub, throw in the chlorine. If you don't use the spa, you don't need to use this necessarily. If you're not using the tub for an extended period of time, we still recommend using a teaspoon every week or a couple teaspoons every couple weeks, just to kind of help the ozone with a little bit of the bacteria that it's not able to kill. Now that you've got the chlorine down, the last maintenance that we ask you to do, again, you've got the weekly maintenance with the pH and alkalinity. You would have the daily maintenance, or usage maintenance rather, with the dichlor and using the dichlor whenever you get out. And then you have the quarterly maintenance and the yearly maintenance, if you will. With the quarterly maintenance, you're going to do a filter cleaning solution. The filter cleaning solution is just a soaking solution. It's designed to help break up all the lotions and oils and everything that's on the filter. So as we talked about in the initial startup, where that filter area is, and turning that basket 1/8 of a turn to the left and pulling the basket out, you're going to pull the filter out. One quick important note here, on the control itself, there is one great option on here that you'll have in any of our newer spas, and certainly moving forward. In the settings tab, there's a settings button here with a little wrench and a gear on it. If you go into the settings tab, or the settings tab, you'll notice that there's a button that says hold. This hold button, so as you can notice right now, the tub just shut down. Even though we still have power to the tub, it's holding for 60 minutes. Now that you have the power either turned off or you've hit the hold button on the control to shut the power down to the circulation pump, you can pull the filter out. It's really, really important to do that. Either hit the hold button there and shut it down for 60 minutes, or turn the power off at the breaker, mainly because that circulation pump runs all the time. It's a 24-hour continuous clean motor. Any solid debris that's on that filter or in that basket, you want to avoid getting it sucked down into the system, because it could affect the way that the ozone draws. It could certainly affect the heating. You just want to make sure that you don't do that. So once the power's off and you've hit that hold button, the filter, if you remember how to take that off, it's just that quick turn to the left and that top cap comes off. That's that telescopic filter that I showed you how to remove whenever you're filling the tub. And underneath that is that basket that's going to capture the solid debris. This is going to get hair, lint, leaves, bugs. This you can do as often as you want. The more often you clean this basket and the more often you clean the filter, the better. We recommend at least once or twice a month. If you do it every week, that's even better. But this is probably what you're going to do the most, is cleaning this filter. So pull this basket out, get all the hair, lint, leaves, bugs, clean that off. So once you have the basket removed and you have all the solid debris taken out of that, the filter sits down underneath that. The filter, it's just a paper cartridge. It looks like this. It's designed to capture the lotions and the oils. In the same time frame, at least once a month, maybe even a couple times a month is better. But what we recommend that you do is just pull it out, and you don't need to spend a lot of time with it. Just a jet nozzle on the end of a garden hose. Get a garden hose, a good jet pressure on the end of it, and just rinse it off really good. Spend 3 minutes, 5 minutes with it. It'll be a staggering difference as to how dirty this filter comes out. Even if the tub is brand new, it captures a lot of stuff. All the lotions, oils, hair, lint, leaves, bugs, everything that comes off the body, anything that's in your city water or well water is going to get caught in this filter. So pull this out regularly and rinse it really well. If you pull it out every couple of weeks or once a month even and rinse it off, it goes a long way in keeping your tub clean, keeping your tub clean, keeping your tub clear, keeping it fresh. One other quick note is that this will capture soap as well. So anything that's on your bathing attire. We certainly don't recommend wearing cottons, jeans, any heavier materials, t-shirts, things like that. You want to make sure that you restrict your bathing wear to typical bathing wear. So nylons, lighter materials, and you're not getting them dirty. You don't need to wash them every time you get out of the hot tub. Just hang them up to dry, use them next time. If you run them periodically in the wash, because even bathing suit material sometimes harbors that soap. We use a lot of soap in our washes, and even though it goes through the rinse cycle in the washing machine, it's still going to capture some of that soap in there. It doesn't come out. When it comes out is whenever you turn the jets on, and it's going to beat all that soap out of your material, and then you'll get foam in the hot tub. So if you do that, same thing. All that soap is going to get caught in the filter. Pull the filter out maybe 2 days in a row. Rinse it really good with that high pressure nozzle. If your water is cloudy, we'll go into some of that other maintenance as well. But those are the simple things that you can do. Is really taking care of the filter is going to go a long way in getting rid of all of that stuff. The cloudy water, the soapy water, foamy water, dirty water, any of that stuff. If you do that periodically, it works great. And then we also get you set up with a filter cleaning solution, and the filter cleaning solution is a soaking solution. Along with the weekly or every other week or once a month maintenance with just rinsing the filter really well, the other thing that we get you set up with is a filter cleaning solution. And this is really just a soaking solution. It's really designed to break down those lotions and oils and stuff that the filter is going to capture and clean it really well. The bottle itself, it's made by Leisure Time. They recommend using the full bottle to clean it with. We'd recommend using half of the bottle. We're only cleaning one filter, and if you use too much of this, because it is like a soap basically, it's really difficult to get all the chemical off of the filter. But it's a 4 to 6 hour soak. What you're going to do is same concept, turn the power off, hit the hold button on your topside control so it shuts down for 60 minutes, and you're going to pull the filter out and stick the filter in a bucket of warm water. So if that's a 5-gallon bucket we supplied you with, great. If you don't have that, use any bucket or anything that's going to submerge the filter completely. Fill it up with warm water and use half of this bottle and just let it soak for that 4 to 6 hour period. Once it's done soaking, that's when you want to get that jet pressure, that high pressure nozzle on the end of the garden hose again, and you're going to spend a good 5, 10, maybe 20 minutes in rinsing this filter off as good as you possibly can. Get as much of the chemical off of there as you can, otherwise you will end up with a bubble bath if you don't get all that chemical off. What that's going to do is that just gets you a longer life out of your filter. So if you use the filter cleaning solution, you're going to get a couple years out of the filter, maybe a little longer. If you don't use the filter cleaning solution, you're going to get a year typically per filter. Once you have the filter clean, whether you did the weekly rinse or the monthly rinse with it, or you did the quarterly deep soak, you can put the filter back in. And the filter back in is just a reverse process of taking it out. The filter goes in first, and it's going to sit down all the way in the bottom. Then you're going to take the basket and put the basket down in there, and that's going to sit flush with the top of the filter area there. And then the skimmer weir here just sits right back on there, and just a quick turn to the right in this case, and that filter basket is assembled, back on, ready to go. Once you have the filter back in there, either turn the power back on at the hot tub or at the breaker where you shut the power off, or you can hit the back button on the control where that hold cycle is, and it'll automatically restart and get going. So that really sums up the maintenance. There isn't a whole lot to it again. You've got your pH and your alkalinity that you're going to do on a weekly basis. You've got the dichlor that you're going to use the half a teaspoon per person whenever you get out of the spa, and then that quarterly maintenance with the filter cleaning solution. If you're going to do that quarterly, every 6 months, your choice on that again, but we certainly recommend taking care of it. Beyond that, the last little bit of the maintenance is draining and cleaning the tub. Once a year at least, even if the water is crystal clear and clean and ready to go, at least once a year you're going to want to clean or drain and clean the hot tub completely. To drain the tub, first thing first, always turn the power off. This time you're not going to use the hold cycle for the power because it's going to take you longer than an hour to drain the tub and fill it back up. So turn the power off at the breaker, wherever your electrician located it at. Hopefully you know. If you can't find it, call us and let us know. We'll see if we can help you locate it. And all the spas are going to be the same as far as the drain. It's always going to look like this black cap right here, at least anything relatively new. And this just pulls out. That's also where that little T20 bit is located, just in case you don't have it pulling the panels off. It's always going to be attached to it. Whenever you pull this out, this black cap is literally just that, just a cap. This is going to unscrew. Once you have that unscrewed, you'll see the valve here. This valve, it's just a simple on and off valve, but you can hook a hose up to this green piece and run the hose wherever you want. Keep in mind that it's a gravity-fed drain. So with gravity, of course, if you have the hose running uphill or it's going to an area that it's not going to drain quickly, it's going to be real long for it to drain, or it's going to take a long time for it to drain. Once you have your hose running downhill, you can open up the valve and it'll drain out. It takes about 4 to 6 hours for it to completely drain, so it's very slow because it is just a gravity-fed drain. There's no pump, there's no motor that's pushing it. It's just gonna drain out of the spa from gravity. But once it's drained, then you can go ahead and close the valve and put your cap back on, and that's where you're going to clean the interior of the tub if you wanted to. So once this is screwed on, one quick note with the cap as well. One quick note with the cap is if you notice on the inside there's a rubber gasket, just like a high pressure nozzle hose would or a hose cap would. There's a rubber gasket in here that seals. That's a big part of keeping the tub from leaking at that drain, is you got to make sure that that gasket is in there and positioned properly. And if you're missing one, you can pick it up at any hardware store. We certainly have them in stock as well if you need one. But that goes inside there all the way, and then that's going to thread back on to the drain there. And once that's threaded all the way back on, you can go ahead and put the drain back in the hot tub. And that's draining the tub. Once the spa is drained, you can clean the inside of the shell with denatured alcohol. That's the best thing you can clean it with. It's the only thing we recommend to clean it with. Denatured alcohol, we do stock at either one of our showrooms, or you can get it at Home Depot, Lowe's, A&A Trading Post, any hardware store as well. We'll have it for you. Drain it all the way down, get as much of the water out of the tub as you possibly can. Again, you're going to have a couple low-lying areas in the spa on the bottom of the seats that you might have to bail a little bit of the water. Use a shop vac to vacuum out all the water. Use a towel, use a cup to bail it out. But once the tub is dry, then you can just use paper towel and denatured alcohol, wipe down the surface if you'd like to, and then you start the process over again and filling it up with putting the hose in the filter area, making sure that it's all the way down there in the bottom. Fill the tub up and you're right back at the beginning where you started with getting it going. Make sure the tub is completely filled with water again, turn the power back on, and you're ready to go. Keep enjoying the hot tub.